Hi guys, welcome back. So I've recently had a request to do a tutorial on this kind of lettering. I call it magic lettering. That's just kind of where I landed on it. For this, I'll be using two of my brush sets, the Digital Basics and 3D Dreams brush sets. I'll have them linked down below. So let's go ahead and get into it. So I'm going to use my Rick Dalton color palette. It's probably my favorite. It's so colorful and retro. So using the David brush from the Digital Basics set, just go ahead and fill in, kind of going down the page, all the colors that you want to use. It doesn't really matter which colors, you can do whatever you want. I'm just kind of going with the Roy G. Biv rainbow colors. Okay. Once you've added all the colors that you're happy with, we're going to go to Gaussian Blur and we're going to put it up like anywhere between 60 and 70 is typically where I like. But again, do what you are happy with. This is just where I like. Okay, and now we're going to go ahead and add a layer on top. And then you can pick whatever color you want to use for the background. So for this, I am going to go with this light pink and just go ahead and drop it right there. Perfect. Okay, and now we're going to actually drag that background layer down, and then we're going to add another layer in between. This is where we're going to do our writing later. And now on the colorful layer that we made, click on that, and we're going to clip it to that blank layer, and then set the blending mode to hue. Perfect. And once we're done with that, we're going to go back to that center layer that's blank. I'm using the claymation brush for this, and with my 3D brushes, you want to make sure that you're using a dark color for your primary and a light color for your secondary. That's going to help it give that 3D look. And I'm just going to test out the brush, make sure it works. Okay, perfect. And because we have that colorful layer set on hue for the blend mode, that's why we're able to get the colors to shine through on the writing layer that we're using. You can also use the color blend mode if you want to. It kind of gives a slightly more muted appearance in my opinion. So I usually go between hue and color. And I'm just sliding through here to show you some of the other blend modes just to give you an idea. Hue and color are my preferred blend modes, but you do what you are specifically looking for. Some of these other blend modes might actually work better for whatever look you're going for. And now that we know that the brush is working the way we want, I'm just going to go and clear out that middle layer, and I'm going to add text now. So this is optional. I just like to do this to make sure that I follow a guideline of some sort and I'm staying straight, because I have a really bad problem of making my handwriting straight and look nice. So I like to use I like to put text in to make it look a little bit more clean and put together. And once you've done that and you've sized it to where you want it to be, so I want it to be nice and big and I have it centered here, I'm going to lower the opacity because I want to be able to actually see what I'm doing, and make sure that text layer is the very, very topmost layer. And we'll go back to that blank one from before, and then we can just go ahead and start writing. And because we already tested out the brush, we know that it should look the way that we want it to. And the claymation brush is pressure sensitive. So the harder that you press, you're going to get these nice thick strokes. But if you lighten up on the touch, it's going to thin out a little bit. So with the kind of text that I'm using here, the font, it's got a mix of thickness and lightness. So I'm able to use different pressures to achieve that look. And once you're done with the writing, just turn off that text layer so you don't see that. So just for fun, I'm going to show you what happens when you move around the handwritten portion of this. So I'm just using the selection tool to grab it, and I'm going to just move it side to side. You can see the colors changing. So because we used that colorful layer and clipped it to this layer, you can actually move the writing around as much as you want and put it where the colors are that you really want to emphasize. So we're pretty much done at this point, but I want to add a little bit more depth. So I'm going to duplicate that layer, alpha lock, and then I'm going to set the color to a darker pink and fill layer. Now, I also like to change the blend mode to multiply just to make it even darker, and just turn that alpha lock off, and I like to turn the snapping off before I move it, just so I'm a little bit more precise where I put it. And then I'm going to drag the shadow in the same direction that the shadow goes in the claymation brush. And then just Gaussian blur, which I like to hit somewhere between like 7 and 10% for that. And that's it. This is something that's super easy and super fun to do, and it's great in order to add a little extra to your art. I hope you found this informative and helpful. If you have any questions about anything that you saw in the video, please leave me a comment below. And if there's any other tutorials that you'd like to see from other videos you might have seen on my TikTok or shorts, let me know and I'd be happy to make them. Thanks again for watching, guys. I'll see you soon. Bye.